St. Cattwg Cadog was a 5th–6th century abbot of Llancarfan, near Cowbridge in Glamorganshire, South Wales, a monastery famous from the era of the British Church as a centre of learning, where Illtud spent the first period of his religious life under Cadoc's tutelage. Cadoc is credited with the establishment of many churches in Cornwall, Brittany Dyfed and Scotland. He is known as Cattwg Ddoeth, the Wise, and a large collection of his maxims and moral sayings were included in Volume 3 of the Myvyrian Archaiology. He is listed in the 2004 edition of the Roman Martyrology under the 21st of September. His Norman-era life is a hagiography of importance to the case for the historicity of Arthur as one of 7 saints' lives that mention Arthur, independently of Geoffrey of Monmouth's Historia Regum Britanniae biography. Cadoc's story appears in a Vita Cadoci written shortly before 1086 by Leifrus of Llancarfan. It was clearly written at Llancarfan with the purpose of honouring the house and confirming its endowments. Consequently, it is of limited historical merit, though some details are of interest. Llancarfan did not survive the intrusion of Norman power into South Wales, being dissolved about 1086. Cadoc began life under a cloud of violence. His father, Illtud the Bearded, was one of the lesser kings of Wales, a brother of St. Petroc, and a robber chieftain. He wanted to propose to Princess Glywedys, daughter of King Bricham of Brackenniog, a neighbouring chieftain, but Bricham turned away the envoys asking for Glywedys' hand. Wildly in love, Illtud and Glywedys eloped from her father's court at Brecon and escaping over the mountains in a raid in which 200 of Gwynlly's 300 followers perished. Born into the royal families of Gwynel Lwg and Brackenniog, it is said he worked miracles even before his birth. Strange lights shone in his parents' house and the cellars were miraculously filled with food. Cadoc was born in Monmouthshire around the year 497. An angel announced his birth and summoned the hermit Myvyrian to baptize and teach him. A holy well sprang up for his baptism and afterwards flowed with wine and milk. It is thought that he was baptized as Cathmail. After the birth of his son, Illtud went on a wild celebratory raid with a new band of fearless warriors. Among other livestock, he stole the cow of an Irish monk, St. Tathan of Caerwent. This is probably Tathan, a reputed early abbot of nearby Caerwent whose dedications appear around Llantwit Major. Tathan was not afraid of Illtud and boldly went to confront him, demanding the return of the cow. On a sudden impulse, or perhaps guided by divine inspiration, Illtud decided Cadoc would go to live under the monk's care, and he was sent away to be educated at Tathan's monastery in Caerwent. Cadoc picked up a basic knowledge of Latin and received a rudimentary education that prepared him for further studies in Ireland and Wales. Most important, Cadoc learned to appreciate the life of a monk and a priest. One day, while in the Cardiff district of Glamorganshire, Cadoc was being chased by an armed swineherd from an enemy tribe. As he ran through the woods looking for a place to hide, he came upon a wild boar, white with age. Disturbed by his presence, the boar made 3 fierce bounds in his direction, but Cadoc's life was spared when the boar miraculously disappeared. Cadoc took this as a heavenly sign, and marked the spot with 3 tree branches. The valley was owned by his uncle, King Paul of Pennicon, who made a present of the land to his nephew. The location later became the site of the great church, college and monastery at Llancarfan. Makes, the sister of Cadoc according to tradition, was killed by robbers who were stealing her finest ram. Tathan, to whom the murderers confessed their crime, built a church on the spot. In adulthood, Cadoc refused to take charge of his father's army, preferring to fight for Christ. He founded his first monastery at Llancarfan in the Vale of Glamorgan, and from there he went to Ireland to study for 3 years. Returning to Wales, he studied with Brittany Dyfed, a teacher of rhetoric from Italy. He then travelled to Scotland, where he founded a monastery at Cowbridge. Back at Llancarfan, his influence helped it to grow into one of the chief monasteries in South Wales. One tradition has it that he went on pilgrimage to Rome, but more certain is the knowledge of time spent in Brittany. He settled there on an island in the Illtud River, now called Cadoc, where he built an oratory, founded a monastery and devoted himself to spreading the gospel. There are chapels dedicated to him at Bells and Colmenden in Morbihan and at Goanach in Finisterre, where he is called upon to cure the deaf. His name is also the basis of some 30 Breton place names. Llancarfan. According to Huddleston, most Welsh writers assign the founding of Llancarfan to the period of St. Germanus's visit to Britain in A.D. 447, stating further that the first principal was St. Dubric, or Dubricius, on whose elevation to the episcopate St. Cadoc, or Cattwg, succeeded. On the other hand, he notes that the life of St. Germanus, written by Constantius, a priest of Lyons, about 50 years after the death of the saint, says nothing at all of any school founded by him or under his auspices in Britain, nor is mention made of his presence in Wales. An alternate tradition holds that Llancarfan Monastery or Church of the Stags, in Glamorganshire, and not far from the Bristol Channel, was founded in the latter part of the 5th century by Cadoc. Here he established a monastery and college, which became the seminary of many great and holy men. The spot at first seemed an impossible one, an almost inaccessible marsh, but he and his monks drained and cultivated it, transforming it into one of the most famous and attractive religious homes in South Wales. The plan of the building included a monastery, a college, and a hospital. Having got the community established, he went off to Ireland to study and teach. When he returned 3 years later, he found the monastery in ruins. Furious, he forced the monks back to manual labor, dragging timber from the woods to begin the work of reconstruction. 2 stags came out of the forest to help them, which is said to be why the stream running past the monastery is called the Llancarfan. The Stag Brook. Rev. Rees suggests that although the monastery was said to have been situated at Llancarfan, the particular spot on which it stood was called Llanfyddin, Scotland. About 528 after his father's death, Cadoc is said to have built a stone monastery in Scotland, probably at Kilmadoc, which was named for the saint. Northwest of Stirling, where the Ann and Burn enters the River Teith about 2 miles upstream from Doon. Near the ruins of the old Kilmadoc church and graveyard is Hermit's Croft, thought to be where he lived for 7 years. 7 local churches that were built in his name came under the authority of Inchmahome Priory. It is also said that Cadoc's monastery was below Mount Bannock. It has been suggested that the monastery was where the town of St Ninians now stands, 2 kilometers south of Stirling. Scottish followers were known as Cadog, the servants of Cadog, which appears as a surname, first as Dog, and later as Dog, Doc, and Doc. Legends. Cadoc and Arthur. Cadoc came into conflict with Arthur. The Vita depicts Arthur as great and bold but willful. Leifris writes that Cadoc gave protection to a man who had killed 3 of Arthur's soldiers, and Arthur was awarded a herd of cattle from Cadoc as compensation. Cadoc delivered them, but when Arthur took possession of them, they were transformed into bundles of ferns. Similar incidents are often described in medieval biographies such as those of Carannog, Padern and Goesnovius. Miracles in dealings with temporal authority bolster the case for church freedom. In late Arthurian Welsh triads, Cadoc, with Illtud and Peredur, is one of 3 knights said to have become keepers of the Holy Grail. The king's Maelgwn of Gwynedd and Rain Dremrud of Bracaineog also feature in his Vita, though St. Cadoc's church at Caerleon, which though of Norman origin and much rebuilt, stands on the foundations of the Roman legion headquarters, may memorialize an early cell of Cadoc's, and old tradition suggests that in this case Cadoc is a corruption of Cadfrod. Caerleon was also associated with Arthur. Other legends, a certain miraculous spot associated with Cadoc had a reputed healing effect until the time of King Hyugel, when, due to a malevolent influence, the spot was lost. This Cadoc, grandson of Brechan Bracaineog, to whose offspring a large number of southwest British cult sites are dedicated, may be identical to or confused with Cadoc, son of Brechan, for whom the churches at Llanspidid, Brecknockshire and Llangadog va, Carmarthenshire 3 km west of Brecon, is said to be named along with a former chapel in the parish of Cadwg. According to Serenus de Cressy, this Cattwg died AD 490, is buried in France, and is commemorated in the calendar on the 24th of January. The epithet of Ddoeth induced some writers to confound him with St. Sophia's Bishop of Beneventum in Italy. Hence he is said sometimes to have died at Banaventa. In an episode towards the end of his Vita, Cadoc is carried off in a cloud from Britannia to Beneventum, where a certain prior is warned of the coming of a Western Briton, who is to be renamed Sophias. As Sophias, Cadoc becomes abbot, bishop and martyr. A Magna Basilica was erected over his shrine, which visiting Britons were not allowed to enter. A fictitious Pope Alexander is made to figure in the narrative. Legendary genealogy and lives of the Cambro-British saints. Rev. W. J. Rees wrote, "The genealogy of the blessed Cadoc arises from the most noble emperors of Rome, from the time of the incarnation of Jesus Christ. Augustus Caesar, in whose time Christ was born, begat Octavianus. Octavianus begat Tiberius. Tiberius begat Caius. Caius begat Claudius. Claudius begat Vespasian. Vespasian begat Titus. Titus begat Domitian. Domitian begat Nero, under whom the apostles Peter and Paul suffered. Nero begat Trajan. Trajan begat Adrian. Adrian begat Antonius. Antonius begat Commodus. Commodus begat Meobus. Meobus begat Severus. Severus begat Antonius. Antonius begat Orcanus. Orcanus begat Aurelian. Aurelian begat Alexander. Alexander begat Maximus. Maximus begat Gordian. Gordian begat Philip. Philip begat Decius. Decius begat Gallus. Gallus begat Valerian. Valerian begat Cleopatra. Cleopatra begat Aurelian. Aurelian begat Titus. Titus begat Probus. Probus begat Carausius. Carausius begat Diocletian, who persecuted the Christians throughout the whole world, for in his time the blessed martyrs Alban, that is Julian, Aaron, and many others suffered. Diocletian begat Galerius. Galerius begat Constantine the Great, the son of Helen. Constantine begat Constantius. Constantius begat Maximinus, with whom the British soldiers went from Britain, and he slew Gratian the Roman emperor, and held the government of all Europe, and he did not dismiss the soldiers, which he brought with him from Britain to return to the country on account of the bravery, but gave them many provinces and countries, that is, from the pool which is on the top of the mountain of Jupiter to the city named Cattwg, and until the western mount that is Crwg, and from those soldiers arose a nation which is called Letau. Maximinus therefore begat Orwain. Orwain begat Nor. Nor begat Sola. Sola begat Glywes. Glywes begat Gwynliw. Gwynliw begat the most blessed Cadoc of whom we are speaking. Liturgical celebration. In the 2004 edition of the Roman Martyrology.Cadoc is listed among saints thought to have died on the 21st of September, with the Latin name Cadog. He is mentioned as follows. In the monastery at Llancarfan in South Wales, St. Cadoc the abbot, under whose name many monasteries in Cornwall and Brittany were established. He does not appear in the current Roman Catholic liturgical calendar of saints celebrated annually in Wales. The 21st of September is, however, the feast day of the Apostle St. Matthew, and in Cardiff, St. Cadog's Day has traditionally been kept on the 25th of September. On the French Isle de St. Cadog, a major pardon is traditionally celebrated on the third Sunday in September. Elsewhere, his traditional feast day is the 24th of January.